Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What is going on, Bears Nation? Strap in, grab your turkey leg, pop open whatever you are drinking, and get ready because the 2026 Chicago Bears schedule is dropping, and what we already know is enough to make your jaw hit the floor. We are talking Thanksgiving revenge missions, the toughest strength of schedule in the entire NFL, a drama-soaked return to Detroit, and a young ascending Bears team that just might be crazy enough to walk right through the fire and come out the other side holding a championship trophy. This is Bears Chat Now, and we are breaking it all down right now. Let's start with the headline that has the entire football world buzzing, and honestly, the NFL could not have scripted this better if they tried. The first confirmed game of the Chicago Bears 2026 regular season schedule is a Thanksgiving Day showdown at Ford Field against the Detroit Lions, and if you felt a chill run down your spine just hearing that, you are not alone. This is not just a football game. This is a statement. This is a reckoning. This is the kind of matchup that makes grown men stare at their calendars and circle a date in bold red ink months before the season even begins. The Bears will travel to Ford Field in Detroit on Thursday, November 26th, kicking off at noon on CBS and Paramount Plus as part of the NFL's annual Thanksgiving triple header. And while that might sound like a routine divisional matchup to the casual observer, Bears fans know exactly what the weight of this game carries, because the last time these two teams squared off on Thanksgiving, the football world was turned completely upside down. Cast your mind back to Thanksgiving 2024, a rookie Caleb Williams, heart-pounding, driving the Bears down the field in the final seconds, the whole city of Chicago holding its collective breath. Then came what can only be described as one of the most jaw-dropping clock management disasters in NFL history. Then head coach Matt Eberflus stood frozen on the sideline, refusing to call a timeout as precious seconds bled away. And just like that, the game was over. The Bears lost. The very next morning, Eberflus was fired. The first time in franchise history that the Bears had ever let a coach go midseason. It was a moment so chaotic, so stunning, so perfectly Bears that it became the kind of football folklore that gets retold at Thanksgiving dinner tables for decades. But here is the beautiful, poetic twist in this story. The man who replaced Eberflus and turned this franchise upside down in the best possible way, Ben Johnson, the very offensive coordinator who used to work for those same Detroit Lions, stepped in and fared much better in his first year, leading the Bears all the way to the playoffs. Now Johnson will walk back into Ford Field on Thanksgiving Day as the head coach of the NFC North champions, looking to exact revenge on the team that gave him everything and the team that has haunted this franchise at every turn. This marks Johnson's second return to Ford Field since departing Detroit as offensive coordinator 2 years ago, and last season he went 0-2 against his former team. 0-2. That number has to burn. The Bears suffered a brutal 52-21 loss in Week 2's road matchup at Ford Field last season. 52-21. That is not just a loss. That is an embarrassment, and if you think for one single second that Ben Johnson has not been mentally circling this Thanksgiving date on his whiteboard since the moment the 2025 season ended, you have not been paying attention. The Bears are the reigning NFC North champions, having halted Detroit's 2-year title run during their first year under Johnson's guidance. So we have the student going back to face the teacher. We have the champion going back to the house that built the coach. We have unfinished business, a turkey dinner, and a football game that could very well define the entire 2026 NFC North race. That, Bears Nation, is must-see television. That is the kind of game you do not tape and watch later. You sit down, you tell your family dinner can wait, and you watch every single snap. When the Lions play for the 86th time on the holiday, they will oppose a division rival for the 4th straight season in a marquee Week 12 showdown. And this is not just any rivalry. This year will mark the 5th time they have played at Ford Field on Thanksgiving in the past 9 years, and the 20th time the two teams have ever met on the holiday. Think about that. 20 times these two teams have waged war over a Thanksgiving meal. The Bears and Lions have met at least once every single year since Detroit entered the NFL as the Portsmouth Spartans all the way back in 1930, making it the longest uninterrupted rivalry in league history. The longest in league history. And now in 2026, with everything on the line with the NFC North crown sitting in Chicago and the Lions desperate to take it back, this Thanksgiving game is going to be appointment television for every single football fan in America. Now let's zoom out, because while the Thanksgiving game is the headline, the full picture of Chicago's 2026 schedule is both exhilarating and terrifying, and we need to talk about it honestly, because Bears Nation, your team is staring down the single toughest schedule in the entire National Football League. Not top 5, not top 3, the absolute number 1 most difficult schedule based on opponent win percentage from the 2025 season. Hardest in the league. Chicago is staring at a strength of schedule sitting at .550, and every team in the NFC North finished with a winning record last year. According to CBS Sports, this is just the second time in the entire Super Bowl era that any division has had every single team finish above .500 in one season. Every single team in the NFC North was a winning team last year. The Bears won the division. The Lions went 9-8. The Vikings were capable. And yes, even the Packers were in the mix. When you win the NFC North, you get rewarded with a first-place schedule the following year, which means you get to play the best teams from every other division. That is the price of success. That is the tax for being the champions. The Bears' home slate alone would give most franchises nightmares. At Soldier Field, they will host the Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New England Patriots, New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles, and Jacksonville Jaguars. Read that list again. Philadelphia Eagles, New England Patriots, the defending AFC champions Jacksonville Jaguars, who went 13-4 last year, Green Bay and Detroit twice each in the division. This is not a schedule designed to let a young team breathe. This is a gauntlet built for gladiators. On the road, Chicago travels to face the Lions, Packers, and Vikings in the division, along with the Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo Bills, Carolina Panthers, Miami Dolphins, and Seattle Seahawks. Buffalo, Seattle, those are two road games that will have the entire league watching. The Bills are always a contender. Seattle is coming off what could be a Super Bowl run. If the Bears can split those two, they will be doing cartwheels down Michigan Avenue. Now here is where the doom and gloom crowd wants to really scare you. An NFL analyst noted that the team with the hardest first-place schedule has historically regressed by an average of 4 wins the following year. 4 wins, a 4-game regression from 11 wins would put the Bears at 7-10. 7-10, a losing record, potentially last place in the NFC North. That is the nightmare scenario. That is the dark timeline. And yes, it is a real historical trend that exists for a reason. But here's the thing about trends. They are made to be broken, especially when you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams entering year 3 of his development, a coaching staff that has now had a full offseason to build on a playoff run, and a roster that grew up together under fire. This is going to be year 2 under Ben Johnson and year 3 for Caleb Williams, with a roster expected to contend for the NFC again after an 11-6 division-winning season. This is the stage where small edges start to show up in January. Year 2, year 3, the jump from year 1 to year 2 under a new system is historically massive. Players know the playbook. Caleb Williams knows where to go with the ball when the pocket collapses. The communication is sharper. The trust is deeper. The Bears are not starting over. They are leveling up. And while everyone is focused on how brutal the opponents are, there is a hidden advantage buried inside this schedule that that nobody is talking about enough, and it is genuinely fascinating. Chicago ranks 30th in total projected air miles traveled for the 2026 season with just 10,676 miles. The Bears will cross the Mississippi River just once all year for a trip out to Seattle, just once. Every other away game is in the Central or Eastern time zone. That is an absolutely extraordinary advantage in a sport where bodies break down, sleep schedules get destroyed, and road trips across time zones can sap the energy out of even the most physically dominant roster. Less travel means a more consistent weekly routine, more recovery time late in the year, and less cumulative fatigue. In a 17-game season where rosters get ground down by November and recovery windows shrink every week, fewer miles in the air translates to fresher legs and sharper minds at the exact moment of the season when it matters most. The Bears' Central Time Zone home in Chicago is quietly one of the most underrated geographic advantages in the entire NFL, and in 2026, it is going to matter more than it ever has. And then there is the fact that the Bears have no international games this season. Zero. Zip nada. Many had speculated that the Bears would be tabbed as one of the teams to play in Madrid, Spain, but the Falcons will instead face the Cincinnati Bengals in the second ever NFL game played in Spain. No transatlantic flights, no playing a football game in London at 8 o'clock in the morning, Chicago time. No jet lag throwing off your team's rhythm in the middle of a season. While other teams are packing their bags and adjusting to European time zones, the Bears will be right at home, sleeping in their own beds, practicing in their own facility, and grinding through the regular season without any of those disruptive detours. Think about the silver linings piling up here. 9 home games at Soldier Field for the first time in years, minimal air travel, no international games, and a roster full of players who just experienced their first playoff run and are hungry, absolutely starving to take the next step. FanDuel currently has Chicago's win total at 9.5, already up from the 8.5 projection at this same point last year. The sportsbooks believe in this team. Vegas does not put their money on hype. They put it on reality, and the reality is that the Bears are projected to win games despite the brutal schedule. When you start breaking down the schedule strategically, the path to 10 wins is not only possible, it is actually buildable. The Jets are a mess right now. Carolina remains a work in progress despite their playoff appearance last year. Miami is in a full rebuild. Atlanta, without a first-round pick and still figuring out their quarterback situation, represents a very gettable road game. Tampa Bay is a team the Bears should be able to handle. The Saints have shown improvement but are still developing. You go 5-1 in those 6 softer matchups. You are already most of the way home. You go 3-3 in the division with the Packers, Lions, and Vikings, and suddenly you are sitting at 8 wins before you even account for what happens in the tougher matchups. And remember, and this is crucial because it applies to literally every single schedule projection made in May. When you play a team matters just as much as who you play. Injuries happen. Backup quarterbacks get thrust into starting roles. Teams go cold. Teams get hot. In 2024, the Bears were projected to have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL and ended up playing one of the toughest. Things change, circumstances evolve. The Bears might be favored 1 week because a key opponent is on a short week, banged up, or in the middle of a losing streak. They might be underdogs in a game they absolutely win because the circumstances on the ground favor Chicago in ways that no projection from May could ever capture. Ben Johnson is in his second year. He knows how to run this offense now. He knows how Caleb Williams thinks. He knows which players to deploy in which situations. He knows how to manage a locker room through adversity. And Caleb Williams, the young man who went from struggling in year 1 to leading this franchise to the playoffs in just his second season, is only getting better. Williams broke Eric Kramer's single-season franchise passing record of 3,838 yards that had stood since 1995, and he did it in just his sophomore campaign. He broke a 30-year-old record in year 2. Where does that trajectory go in year 3? The answer is somewhere that should excite every single Bears fan watching this right now. The Thanksgiving game against Detroit is the emotional centerpiece of this entire season narrative. It is the game that every Bears fan will be watching with extra electricity. Even though the Bears lost both games to Detroit in 2025 in unusual circumstances, including that brutal 52-21 blowout, this team still went on to win the division and is making a strong push to retain the title in 2026. The Bears have not beaten the Lions in a while, but these are a different kind of team now. A team with a coach who knows exactly what Dan Campbell does and exactly how to counter it. A team with playmakers at every level. A team that has tasted playoff success and wants more. November 26th, noon kickoff, Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. Ben Johnson walking into the building where he learned to coach football, where he became one of the best offensive minds in the sport, where he developed the relationships and the scheme that he now uses to lead a rival. Caleb Williams lining up under center in one of the loudest, most hostile environments in the NFC Turkey Day football at its absolute finest. If you are not fired up about that, I genuinely do not know what sport you have been watching. The bottom line here is simple. Bears Nation. Yes, this schedule is tough. Yes, the history books say regression is coming. Yes, there are some absolutely brutal stretches on this calendar that are going to test the character and the resilience of this football team in ways that last year's playoff run simply could not prepare them for. But this team is real. This quarterback is real. This coach is real. And for the first time in longer than most Bears fans care to remember, this franchise has genuine, legitimate, football-justified reasons to believe that not only can they compete with the hardest schedule in the NFL, they can thrive in it. 10 wins, NFC North back-to-back, and a Thanksgiving statement game on national television that the entire football world is going to be watching. That is what is on the table for your Chicago Bears in 2026, and the journey starts right here, right now, with the schedule release that sets the whole thing in motion. If you made it this far, you are exactly the kind of Bears fan this channel was built for, and we want to hear from you. What do you think? Can the Bears overcome the toughest schedule in the NFL? Will Ben Johnson finally get his revenge on Thanksgiving against his former team? And what is your 2026 win total prediction? Drop it in the comments below right now. Are you taking the over on 9.5 wins, or are you going under? Let us know. That debate is going to be going all summer long, and we want to have it with you right here on Bears Chat Now. If you are not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because we are covering every single angle of this Bears season from the schedule release all the way through Super Bowl Sunday. Like this video, if it got you hyped, share it with every Bears fan you know, and keep the conversation going in the comments. We are Bears Chat Now, Da Bears, all day, every day, and 2026 is going to be one hell of a ride.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.